The brain is a wonderful thing. We don't fully understand how it works, but we do know that there are some odd things that happen in our brain. For instance, when we listen to two sounds from the same source. This is called the precedence effect. It's also called the Haas effect. This psychoacoustic phenomenon happens when a sound reaches our ear. Our brain suppresses any other sound from that same source if it's within 30 to 50 milliseconds afterwards, including echoes and reverberation, provided it's not louder than the original source. Why does more than one sound come from the same source within that very short time frame? It could be for a lot of reasons. It could be that one of your ears hears it first, and due to the location of your other ear, it may be at a different distance from the sound source, so it hears it second. If it's within 30 to 50 milliseconds, then it's only the first sound that we hear. Now, what does that have to do with sound production? The great thing is that we can manipulate the audience's brain by using this phenomenon to make the signal sound more spacious or wide. Listen to this. This is the single mono track. Now we will double that track and hard pan it and make it slightly delayed. Can you hear that it makes it more wide, expansive and rich? Now if we push the delay to longer than 50 milliseconds, you can now hear the echo effect that it has. You can also record this in specifically planned places so that you can use the effect or the echo naturally. The next interesting phenomenon that is rather related to it is masking. Have you ever been in a room with lots of people talking, clinking glasses, and background music? Or have you been outside where there's an ambient noise like cars or the surf? If the frequency of what you're trying to focus on, like your friend that is speaking to you, if it is very similar to something else that is louder, the louder sound masks it. Think of a private conversation. Play pink noise or white noise that then covers the frequencies of the top secret conversation. Car manufacturers also use it to mask unwanted engine noise. So far we have the precedence effect or Haas effect, masking. The next phenomenon is not necessarily the brain, but the environment around us. The Doppler effect is a phenomenon that makes something that's moving away from us sounds like it's lowering in pitch. Have you ever noticed that an ambulance or a race car sounds like the pitch is changing as it moves past you? Consider the people inside that vehicle. The pitch wouldn't change for the ambulance driver as it drives along with the ambulance. So what happens? You already know that sound travels through air in waves. So if the ambulance is sitting still, there are constant waves of sound emitting from the vehicle's siren. Imagine it like circles, moving out and getting bigger as it moves away from the sound, a little bit like waves. That has to do with the sound pressure level, or SPL, as the waves are pushed through the air. It vibrates it and then travels away from the thing that is making the sound. Now, if that siren continues and the ambulance drives along the road, it's pushing through the air in front of it that bunches up the little circles of sound waves. That's why it sounds consistently the same pitch as it travels towards you. As the ambulance moves through the air, the sound waves are bunched up in the front, which makes the circle of sound waves bigger at the back. Imagine like a boat creating waves on a river. You'll see that the waves get bigger and more spaced apart around the back, and it's bunched up at the front. This is what happens with sound waves. And therefore, the sound waves are further apart, and it stretches the sound waves out, which makes it sound like it is lowering in pitch. The final one is the proximity effect. This has to do with microphones, particularly directional ones, and only if the sound source is on the primary axis or front on. Basically, it is the closer you get, the more bass boost you have. Now, this is both a good and a bad thing. If your singer is sounding a bit thin, ask them to move closer to the mic. Now it is much richer in tone as we hear the bass frequencies more. That is a desirable example. The undesirable example is a double bass. It already has lots of bass frequencies and it resonates in its own chamber in the empty hole that it has. So if a mic gets too close, feedback. Why does this happen? In short, high frequencies and low frequencies behave differently through the air, and it is the bass frequencies that are the most variable depending on the distance of the sound source of the mic.